It looks like a little baklava.
It goes completely flat. And then if I go sideways...
No, but I just think...
Crooked. Lumpy. Pointy. Huge. The human nose can come in many shapes and sizes, some more appealing than others. You smell that? Didn't think so. That's the smell of regret. One lousy nose job can ruin your look. Not every botched nose is a done deal. Could a nose job kill you? And how did this woman's rib save her schnozz? This is Your Body On Botched Nose Jobs. Every nose job comes with its risks, from overbleeding, infections, breathing issues, and permanent scarring.
You doing okay?
Perhaps worst of all, though, is an uneven-looking nose. Take Holly Phillips, for example. After her first surgery, she was left with very little cartilage, leaving her with a pointy proboscis. Surgeons had to cut off the natural tip of her nose and carefully rebuild a new one with additional cartilage. If they stretched her skin too much, they could have restricted her nose's blood supply. Luckily, the repairs went well. Following a nightmare procedure and one failed fix-it surgery, this woman was left with a crooked nose that began collapsing in on itself within the first year.
I took my bandage off. Oh my God.
She suffered years of breathing problems and noticeable lumps on her nose as a result. Doctors had to delicately transplant cartilage from a rib and perform several skin grafts to reconstruct everything. Fortunately, after 22 weeks and several thousands of dollars later, the process was deemed a success. Preparation. Before you go under the knife, you'll need to consult your surgeon to discuss your options. They'll ask about your medical history, what medications you're on, and whether or not you have a bleeding disorder like hemophilia. Then they'll do a physical exam to assess your features, like the strength of your nose cartilage. This will help determine whether or not the surgery will negatively impact your breathing. Some surgeons will take 3D photos and use software to give you a visual idea of your new snout. Wow, looks ravishing.
Thank you.
Once you're both in agreement and your appointment is set, there are a few things you should avoid leading up to the surgery. Don't take aspirin or ibuprofen 2 weeks before, as both could increase bleeding. And nobody likes a bloody nose.
It absorbs right up.
You also should avoid smoking. It can raise your chances of infection and slow the healing time. Ready for your glow up? Surgery. All right, it's time to say goodbye to your old nose.
What's wrong with my nose?
Nothing. It's a beautiful nose. You got the Berman nose.
Your surgeon will administer anesthesia by injecting it into your nasal tissues and your veins. Depending on the job, they will make incisions inside the nose or along the base, between your nostrils. To rebuild your nose, surgeons will either use cartilage taken from deep in the nose or from the ear. Skin grafting may also be needed. They might even use cartilage from your ribs or chunks of bone from other parts of your body for bigger jobs. Once it's all said and done, they'll move your skin and tissue back into place and stitch up the incisions. You can head home that day, depending on how quickly you recover, but some folks need an overnight stay.
I didn't die.
Recovery. Before you rush to reveal your new nozzle, you'll need to keep that bandage on for a while.
Hi-oh!
You better get used to sleeping with your head up. This will help reduce any bleeding or swelling. You might feel some congestion from the swelling, or if splints were needed during the surgery. Now for the gross part. Be prepared for the aforementioned bleeding and drainage.
Oh, you okay?
Luckily, most surgeons will give you a drip pad made up of gauze to catch all that nasty nose juice. For the next week, you'll be walking around with a medically approved fashion accessory on your face. But hey, at least everyone can still see those dazzling eyes of yours. You'll want to stick to baths instead of showers to keep your bandages intact. Ooh, bubbles! You should also skip that comedy show, as any extreme facial expressions like smiling or laughing can do further damage. And well, the joke's on you.
I laughed, but it hurt a little.
Don't rush to the gym to show off. You'll have to take it easy for a while. Strenuous activities could lead to more bleeding and swelling.
Wow. Right?
After 7 days, you're free to take it all off.
It looks good.
Great job. You got butchered.
Sorry to say, but it looks like you've been botched. You're going to need to get some more work done, or get extra crafty with makeup.
And that is how you correct a bulbous nose.
You can breathe easy knowing that most botched nose jobs are reversible. But that's not the case for every cosmetic surgery. Some can even kill you. Before you plump up that booty, you may want to do some research. We'll twerk it out on another episode of Your Body On.